everyone, and welcome to Bushel Park Golf Club and Academy. So today we're going to be looking at the anatomy of a golf club, and we're also going to talk you through some other elements that make up a golf club and what club you should be selecting based on your ability and the club style. But before we start talking about that, just like to remind everyone that tomorrow, being Friday the 17th, we'll be running a Zoom putting lesson. It starts at 6 p.m. Now, if you'd like to take part, please just send me an email, which is danny@bhpgc.com. We'll send you an invitation with our code, and you can join in on our putting lesson. So the putting lesson is going to take part things such as club face control, setup, and things you can practice whilst we're at home on lockdown. You don't need any specific equipment, but if you do have things like a putt-out pressure trainer or a putt-out mirror, they are going to give you a much quicker and much easier use of your time. So that starts at 6 p.m. tomorrow, which is the 17th of April. We're also, just to remind everyone, that we are going to be, I'm still going to be doing my 125-hole challenge, which is to commemorate the 125 years Bushel Park this year. That's due to take place at the end of June. Obviously, with the lockdown, that may have to change, but we are still going to be doing it this year. We have set up a Just Giving page, so if you do want to donate, please visit our Just Giving page. You can find that via our website and via any of our YouTube or Twitter links. And we can also do it via the golf club themselves. So we're going to be doing it for the Captain's Charity this year, which is the British Heart Foundation. And so as much as you can pledge will be greatly received. That'll be 125 holes in one day. The format still hasn't been finalised, but as we get more information and the dates, we will keep everyone in touch, then we'll get everyone updated on that one. So, golf club anatomy. So there are three main factors to a golf club. We have the grip, the shaft, and the club head. So the grip itself can be multitude of sizes, multitude of textures. It really depends on what the individual likes. We do have some things that we look for, which is the style of work that a person does. So if someone's office-based work or has quite soft hands, you wouldn't necessarily give them a corded grip because they're a lot rougher on the skin. Likewise, if someone's got exceptionally small hands, we probably wouldn't give them an extra large grip, but that has been known to help people as well. Shaft-wise, two main forms of material, which is going to be steel or actually going to have graphite. There are other things that they've used in the past, and there are some shafts that are half and half, but mostly it's steel or graphite. Steel comes in multitude of different weights, everything from 130 grams right the way down to a 50-gram shaft. And graphite comes in, again, a multitude of weights. Not quite as heavy as a steel shaft, but they do go exceptionally lighter. So graphite shaft can go from about 110 grams right the way down to 45 grams. Flex-wise, does depend on the individual, but you have everything between a ladies flex and a double X flex, which is what you see a lot of the long drive players using. So then we get into the club head. Now there's two main styles of club head, one being a blade, which are the irons on the plate, and the other one being a cavity back, which is where we have a hollow cavity in the back here. There is a third form that's starting to take a bit more, show up a little bit more, which is this hollow design. So this head, although looks very bladed, is very wide and actually hollow inside. So the face itself and the chamber behind actually help to improve and make it play more like a cavity back. But our two main styles are cavity and blade. So a cavity back, what they do is they move all the weight in the middle and they push it to the outside edges. So with the hollow cavity, they do the same thing. They move it all to the outer edges and they also move it further away from the club face. It's all about giving you more speed off the golf club face, so making the ball travel faster, and all about making it more consistent and making the sweet spot bigger, essentially. So once we've got one of our main three forms, we then have our general club design, which is club face, the sole of the club, we have the neck of the club, then we have the toe and the heel of the club. So they're our main sections. We also have top line, which can be varied in thickness depending on what style of club head you're using. Like I said, we have a cavity or no cavity on the back here. And last thing that we have mentioned is the ferrule, which is actually part connects to the golf neck. So this really is a protective part that not every club does have it. Ping don't actually use them on some of their models, but it's where the shaft sits into the neck of the club and it sits between those two. It's quite a weak point, but it's also used to mask. In the old days, it would be to mask how central that bore through on the neck was where the shaft went into. That's why Ping don't use them in all their clubs. It's more of a mark initially of showing off where they could get it very central and they could have every club very central into the neck, so they will just take this off to show how well they can perform into that point. You also find some clubs have a little notch, especially pink, have a little notch cut in the back here, and that just allows for a change in lie angle and to a much bigger degree than some other manufacturers. Everything after that really is about the individual clubs themselves. So every club's going to have loft, and loft is measured on the club face from the vertical line. So we have a vertical line which is 0, and the further away we are, the more loft we're going to have. And we also have something called bounce. Now, bounce is where you look at this trailing edge of the sole, and it's the angle between that trailing edge and the lead edge on your flat lie. So this being my 58-degree wedge, it's probably one of the highest bounces I've got in my bag, compared to a 4-iron, which has got much narrower sole and also a lot less bounce on this leading edge. So the last thing which you're going to get on all predominantly on your wedges, but it's what we call grind. Now the grind does vary depending on the brand or company you use. So what Cobra do is they have this notch cut into the back, which allows you to lay the club much more open, and that notch is actually the part that sits on the ground, gets the leading edge a lot closer than you would have if you had a round curved trailing edge. And you also have relief in the heel and into the toe. Just allows you to manipulate with the club face and the loft on the club without changing the bounce too aggressively. Next video we're going to shoot, we'll actually be looking at more to do with bounce and grind options. So we'll be looking at the Titleist range, and we can show you a lot more of the versatility that we can do with those different options and try and give you a set that's going to fit you. And it's always best to try wedges, but ultimately it gives you an idea of what style of wedges that you're actually going to need. So when we look at the woods, we have the same 3 components. We still have a club head, we still have a shaft, still have a grip, so those 3 are still set. What we don't necessarily have is a neck as such, so because of these interchangeable shafts and the screw fit and things like that that have come in, the neck's got a little bit shorter, and the reason the neck gets a little bit shorter is because the ferrule is now actually part of that mechanism. So whereas the ferrule on an iron doesn't do too much, it's more for the prosthetics. Actually, in a fairway wood, it actually has more of an actual design and use. So a lot of this is actually weights. They make the neck shorter, take the weight out, and you can move the weight around. We also have a crown when we get into the woods, which we don't have on the irons. The irons at the top line, now we actually have a crown. And the crowns could be a multitude of things. A lot of them are carbon fibre now to take the weight away, so the weight can then be put lower down. But they all have a crown. Different finishes do different things, but the crown will actually start to flex when we're hitting the ball. I mean, the club face doesn't flex as much and the ball doesn't flex as much. So the golf crown and the club face are taking a lot of the impact, trying to keep that ball to retain its shape a little bit longer, gets a little bit more distance out of the shot that you're hitting. And also different brands do different things on their soles, but it still has a sole. On the Cobra range we actually have these rails, which comes from the old bafflers. So the rails are designed to stabilise the club face through that transition in the grass. It doesn't necessarily come onto the driver, but it is in the fairway wood range. Okay, so the putter again, grip, shaft, putter head, we still have loft, we don't look at bounce, we do look at lie angle, and we do look at loft more purposefully on a putter than any other club really in the bag. The putter loft generally is set at 2 to 4 degrees depending on the brand that you use, and the shaft and the neck is now also going to play a lot into which putter you should be using. So my putter doesn't necessarily have a neck on this one. What we have is this double bend shaft in here. So rather than the putter shaft going straight down into a neck, actually bends down, curves into the shaft, which changes how the putter sits. So with this I have a quarter toe hang, which means rather than being face balanced, the toe actually hangs quarter way round, and we have a full hang which will hang completely toe down. So this is a quarter toe hang, which allows me to produce a slight stroke and get the weight of the toe to actually start to bring the putter face back to square through my stroke. If my stroke was a lot squarer, I would use something more face balanced to keep that face a bit more stable through the ball. And if I had an aggressive arc, we'd need much more of a toe hang to actually implement that sort of part into my stroke. So with a putter, we still have our top line. You know, we have this back flange here, and we also have a back cutout, which is where a lot of the weight is taken from. And a lot of times we're going to insert or no insert onto a putter. Really, that's down to the feel that you prefer or the sound that you prefer when you're hitting putts. This flange here, really all we're looking to do is move the weight further away. This putter's actually got two little notches, which is where extra weight's been moved further away from the putter face. And all that does is stabilise the putter when you don't hit the centre of the putter face. And you can also have lines and things like that on here as well for alignment issues. When we're looking at putting, the style of putter is quite important. The length of putter is important. The style of neck that you use and the club head, they're all important aspects, and they're all determined by the style of putting stroke that you have. So it's well worth having a lesson on putting, and well worth having a look at actually a putter fitting when you next get a chance. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. Next video we've got coming up, we'll look at the bounce and grind options on wedges, and I'll give you some insight into what style of wedges that you need for the course you play at, as well as the style of player that you are. So as always, happy golfing, stay safe, and thanks for watching.